Hello, this is Dr. Kurt Stahura speaking to you from Trek as part of our tourism shorts. We are lucky today to have Kevin Nephew, who's the CEO and president of Seneca Gaming Corporation, and obviously they're an enormous presence in downtown Niagara Falls and in the area. So, welcome.
Thank you, Kurt.
Oh,
How are you today?
I'm well, thank you, and it's great to have you. Thanks for finding the time in your busy schedule.
Not a problem. Enjoy it. Thank you.
All right. So the first question, I'll jump right into it, is how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your business?
Oh, for the business overall, going back to it, we operate 3 casinos in Western New York, one in Salamanca, one in downtown Buffalo, and one in Niagara Falls. But the impact was felt across all 3 properties regardless. So one of the big things really was, when you look back to a year ago, this is about a year ago when we were reopening. I'll never forget going back to last March when we actually went into shutdown mode. It was one of the first times our properties actually fully shut down.
Right.
So how did that impact us was, the first thing was to identify that we had to react to the COVID-19, to the pandemic, just like any other company and business, and we had to go into a full closure mode. But to close things down takes a tremendous amount of effort also. So we closed down, we went through an exercise to do that. But as we were doing that, we were also gearing up immediately for how we were going to reopen.
Sure.
So when you talk about that, over those 3 months when we really monitored where we were with CDC guidelines, we looked at transmission rates of COVID-19. And as we did, we looked to how can we reopen. And so when you said that we initially reopened, we're at about 50%. Well, I take that back. Our slot machines, we started about 33% of our capacity. So we ran about 1/3 of our capacity. And then we had to put in other physical pieces of equipment to reduce the transmission of COVID-19. So that included the use of plexiglass.
Barriers.
The barriers,
Yeah.
exactly. We put those up into our table games. We also put in enhanced cleaning procedures.
Sure.
We had temperature screening. Most of it's kind of weird, right, Kurt, to think that we've gone from where we were a year ago to where we are today, where it's so common to see people wearing a face mask,
Sure.
to see temperature screening. But all that was incorporated, and while it was new then, isn't it weird that within a year we've gone to where it's become common now?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we went through during this year. So we did the same thing as we went through. We were very stringent, but as we've seen the CDC guidelines and the guidelines, regardless if it's vaccination rates or COVID-19 rates, how we could start to reopen. We have reopened many of our businesses because it's just not gaming. We also have gaming, but we have food and beverage, we have our hotel. But everything we've opened, our first and foremost vision and focus has been on how do we keep our patrons safe and how do we keep our
Sure.
team members safe. So I don't know if that answered your
No,
question,
it
but
absolutely
hopefully
does.
that got you there.
It's a perfect segue into the second question, which is whenever there are difficult times in any business cycle, sometimes it forces you to reevaluate, and sometimes opportunities can come out of difficult times.
Yes.
Do you see any opportunities that came out of this, or a way of thinking about things differently?
Well, I think that, the one piece I've seen that I think, and I give all the credit to all the business sectors, but especially our team members and our management team, is how much they pulled together, right? It was to try to reopen the way that we did with all the restrictions. Just, I can't say enough for our team members as well as our management team to really look at how do we do this? How do we ensure safety? And how do we move forward with it? And I think that thought process was, first of all, I can't give enough credit to our team and our patrons, but to really look at problems in a critical way, to really look at them different. We always talk about, and I have a background with Six Sigma, continuous improvement.
Sure.
And we always look to ways that we can do things better, faster, and smarter. I always try to say that, but we try to live that. And I think that's one of the keystones that we did. When you ask that question, how did we do that? It's very difficult to say, well, you have to put away what was pre-COVID, your measures, your metrics, how you monitor your business, and then you have to move forward. As we did, though, it's interesting, right? Because how we deliver our services has changed.
Sure.
It's no different than what we used to have face-to-face meetings. Now we have meetings on virtual. We use virtual all the time. It's been terrific, and we've been able to really leverage remote work for some team members. Other team members were unable to. With the other team members, it was how do we work that?
Sure.
With that. But one of the big things as we go forward is, I had heard this term, how do you reimagine your future? And I think we'll continue to look at that. And really where that's hitting us a lot is in food and beverage. You take buffets. Buffets may not be what buffets were in the past. So it gives us an opportunity to reimagine the future. And it's interesting, right? People are kind of like, well, that's being taken away. But we have other team members who say, what a great opportunity.
Right.
Now we have a new way to really deliver the service, and how do we leverage that?
Right.
And I think that's really what we're looking for. I hope that
it
answers the question there.
And I latched on also to the idea that it reinforced a sense of community, which is so important in any organization.
Actually, I'll kind of segue on that. Our community, as you're aware, what we do supports the Seneca Nation of Indians. But our team members come from all walks of life and from all different areas.
Right.
So we support everyone when you think about it, right? The economic impact is felt all over Western New York.
Absolutely.
But as we did, one of the things we also, and I credit the Seneca Nation, they were very, very, they stepped right up in regards to supporting the corporation, in regards to the vaccination and communication. And that's been one of the big things really that to me has come back to, regardless of it's our stakeholders, our patrons, team members once again, and our stakeholders, our primary stakeholder being the Seneca Nation and our local governments, just working together to really communicate. Because one thing we do realize is everyone's doing so much, it's easy for things to fall between the cracks. It's just so important to communicate all the time.
Reinforce the need and the importance of communication.
Yes.
Great. What does the outlook look like post-COVID?
Post-COVID?
Yeah.
Actually, as we go through post-COVID, one of the big things is, big question, especially in Niagara Falls here, is Canada. Sure. What's going to happen with the Canadian border? That's impacted us dramatically. It's impacted Niagara Falls also. So really, as the market reopens and we get reduce some of the restrictions on us, we're looking for increased growth as we go forward. And it's a very exciting time. I can't say enough for, wow, this is going to be great as we move forward. But also realizing everything we did, we've monitored those plans, because many of the opportunities that you'll see in the future, I think we leveraged from before. It's like, so we may have had to reduce or streamline and look for efficiencies. Maybe some of those efficiencies we can maintain.
Right.
And those are the things we hope to leverage as we go forward.
Right. So learn,
and then, continue to grow as you go forward. It's kind of funny. We were talking about that the other day. That's kind of like a seed, right, with a plant. And that, maybe that was a moment where we kind of like went a little dormant, but now we're coming back out. We're starting to sprout, and then we're going to continue to grow. So that's one of the analogies we use.
Yeah, in some ways that are reimagined.
Yes.
It forced
Exactly.
you to rethink some things.
Exactly.
That's great. Can you talk about the recent emergence of legalized gaming or betting as part of the overall portfolio now?
Sure. I mean, one of the things we always explore is that any opportunities we have, we look to leverage our gaming opportunities wherever possible. I know there's been some discussion about furtherance of that, but I mean, some of it has been cloudy. So, we explore it. We have a great team that's always on the forefront of exploring those opportunities. So, given those, we'd love to participate and move forward.
Absolutely.
Can't wait.
And that's evolving and shifting as we
Absolutely.
speak.
Absolutely.
And then finally, obviously, you have an enormous presence in the area. And what is your outlook for the future of Niagara Falls and the surrounding area? And you're such a worthwhile and you help the community so much. So are there some thoughts about the future of Niagara Falls and the outlook?
Well, I think one of the biggest things we always look for is partnership. How do we work together, right? Nothing's ever done by yourself.
Of course.
Right? We always think about that. So it takes a collective effort. And I'm really happy that, we're starting to take those steps. Even on a personal note, reaching out to the local government of Niagara Falls. I know one of the things that I've discussed, and I apologize about that right
don't
now.
worry
So,
about that.
as a matter of fact, I'm going to put that away right now. So, my management team, one of the things they're really focused on is how do we become engaged with our local governments, regardless if that's with local government or organizations. Leadership Niagara, we have a presence with Leadership Buffalo. We do a very similar thing, but we want to see the economy grow here because
Sure.
if I always think if we grow and you grow, we all grow.
That's right.
And that's really what we need to do.
No question about it. Well, thank you so much. I know
Yes.
you're absolutely.
By the way, I don't think that phone call was for you. Kurt. I apologize.
Well, we're lucky to have you here, and we appreciate you coming down because I know you're super busy.
Well, I think you're the busy one here, so I'm glad to participate, and I'm looking forward to staying in touch. And as you said, how do we look at the future? We look at it together, my
Absolutely.
friend. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And this was a treat as part of our Tourism Shorts series, and we look forward to having you continue following us. And if you have any questions, please leave them at the bottom of the page, and we'll acknowledge those. Sometimes those even end up being the focal point of a series moving forward, or certainly an episode. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.